Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Sinead. Aherne. Today's top stories: Brexit talks will resume in Brussels later, with Sunday the new deadline for a trade deal. Waterford Council will vote this afternoon on whether to sell the North Quays lands to the developer for €9 million. And in sport, Waterford's Stephen Bennett has been named Hurler of the Month by the GAA. The Taoiseach says it will be very difficult to reach a Brexit deal after there was no breakthrough last night. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has published a no-deal contingency plans after her dinner with British Prime Minister Boris Johnson failed to produce a result. Here's our political correspondent Sean Defoe.
With no major breakthrough and a new deadline of Sunday for the talks, eyes have turned to contingency planning for no deal. The EU published proposals for 4 areas earlier. They would ensure that planes, freight and passenger transport could move between the UK and EU for 6 months into next year. They would also ensure reciprocal access to fishing grounds for both sides for a year or until a deal is reached. European leaders are meeting in Brussels this afternoon to discuss the impasse. On arrival, Taoiseach Micheál Martin said there's still heavy lifting to be done.
But apart from all of the rhetoric that one hears and is necessary in the political world from time to time, that behind all of that, hard work can produce results. And that would be my hope. But it's going to be very difficult, and of that, the stakes are high.
The mood music is pessimistic that a deal can now get done. Senior government figures involved in Brexit say there was little give on either side at last night's meeting, but they said there's still reason enough to keep the talks going, and there remains hope that a breakthrough can still happen. Sean Defoe, Leinster House.
Waterford Green Party MEP Grace O'Sullivan says it's difficult enough without Brexit.
It's down to the wire. At this stage, I'm feeling very unsure whether we'll get an agreement. It's highly precarious and it's very, very disruptive for people who, all citizens who are trying to cope with the pandemic at the moment, and then on top of it, this slow drip Brexit feed that's literally driving people around the bend.
The number of COVID-19 cases in Waterford dropped by almost 50% last week. The Health Protection Surveillance Centre has released its weekly report on the epidemiology of the virus. It shows that 26 cases were confirmed in Waterford between the 29th of November and the 5th of December, down from 50 the week before. That gives a 7-day incidence rate of 22.4. However, 27 cases have been confirmed in Waterford over the last 3 days. That's more than all of last week. Staff at University Hospital Waterford have wished the Waterford hurlers the best of luck in the All-Ireland final. However, they're encouraging people to continue to adhere to the public guidelines and to act responsibly before, during and after the game. Pádraig Dolan is the former managing director of Havenwood Retirement Village in Ballygunner. He spoke to Damien Tiernan on Daisha today.
We will be very afraid to actually see what actually happens in 2 weeks' time, because once one close contact actually happens of a staff member in a nursing home, that person has to isolate, and possibly the people that they actually worked with will also have to isolate. So there's a huge ripple effect by actually coming in contact and with a positive case.
A Fianna Fáil councillor in Waterford says he wants to see the contracts with the North Quays developers before today's council vote. A meeting of Waterford's plenary council is underway online, and a vote will soon be taken on whether to transfer the land titles to Falcon Real Estate. The sale for €9 million also includes the Michael Street development lands. Eddie Mulligan says he's spoken to council CEO Michael Walsh.
To prove, yes, that they aren't dead, because I'm hearing a lot of speculation on it, and certainly number 2, where he's replied to me in plenary stating that there's timelines in place for development, and if they're not developed, it will return to council. So I've actually met him in person over in the North Quays, and I actually mentioned at the North Quays I'd like to see sight of them before today's meeting.
The N25 is closed in both directions between Waterford City and New Ross following a single vehicle road traffic collision. It happened between the Rue Glen and the Glenmore roundabout on the Glenmore side of the N25. Traffic is heavy on both approaches, with major tailbacks reported. Gardaí are at the scene and they're urging motorists to avoid the area. 64% of people believe the right to housing should be enshrined in the Constitution. A survey by the Irish Human Rights and Equality Commission also found 4 out of 5 people consider housing a basic human right. Minister for Housing Dara O'Brien was in Waterford yesterday, where targets were set for the year ahead.
My job is to partner with local authorities, because we're not going to deliver housing without them. Our councillors in Waterford and in Kilkenny have a role in that as our chief executive. I've set a target next year to deliver just under 13,000 public homes, 9,500 of them new builds. Now that's the single biggest target in any year since the foundation of the state.
The pupils at Mount Sion Primary School in Waterford have been busy this week painting giant cardboard faces as part of the Fans in the Stand competition. Schools throughout the county and the country have been involved, and the finished products will be placed in the seats of Croke Park on Sunday. These boys from first and second class told Julie Smith they're really looking forward to the final.
We've been doing up-to-date elves, and we've done these kind of boards for Waterford being in the final.
And are you all very excited about it?
Yes, we are very excited and happy. I'm happy that the Waterford is in the finals, and I hope Waterford wins, and I hope Aston Gleeson gets a lot of goals for the team. After beating the Kilkenny on Saturday, I don't think we're afraid of anyone.
Daesh and Dublin are hosting an All-Ireland final preview night tonight. It's taking place online at 8 and will be hosted by former sports presenter Oisin Langan with a panel of Ken McGrath and Tony Brown. Anyone who'd like to take part is asked to register through social media before 6 p.m. Aoife O'Brien is a member of the Daesh in Dublin Supporters Club.
We'll be talking all things match, all things hurling, leads up to All-Ireland final, team preparation and what the year has brought, and predictions for the game on Sunday. We'll also be taking Q&A from attendees if anyone wants to join. If they have any questions for the lads, they're more than welcome. We'll be taking registrations over on our social media, so if you want to look out for us for Daesh in Dublin, you'll find us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.
And tributes are being paid to a well-known member of the GAA in Waterford who died unexpectedly yesterday. John Aherne from Hillside Grove on the Dunmore Road was one of the founders of Passage GAA Club. WLR's Fintan Welch knew him well.
A life president of Passage Hurling Club and a founder member, he was a lifelong supporter of Waterford hurling teams. Himself and myself travelled to the majority of Waterford games since 1955, and he was looking forward to Sunday's final immensely. Sadly, he will not be around, but no doubt will be well in touch with Croke Park from his new home in heaven. Sympathy is extended to his wife Reenie, daughter Alison, and grandsons Sean and Connor, and all other relatives. WLR
Sport.
With Virgin Media, Georgia Street, Waterford. Wishing all our customers a happy and sporty Christmas.
A very good afternoon from the Sports Desk. I'm Nigel Kelly. We will start with Gaelic Games, where Stephen Bennett has been named as PwC Player of the Month, having been the star of the game for the Daoise as they came from behind to beat Kilkenny and set up an All-Ireland hurling final with Limerick. The former Limerick hurler TJ Ryan says that Limerick's success over the past couple of years has come down to turning up and winning. Speaking at last night's WLR and Club Daoise All-Ireland preview night, Ryan said that the current Limerick team will want to go down in history as one of the great hurling teams.
Winning breeds confidence, but what Limerick have done over the last couple of years, they've won back-to-back Munster Championships, they've won back-to-back leagues. I mean, I'm sure these boys would like to be remembered as one of the really, really great teams, and to do that, there's people are saying they need to put a second All-Ireland, and these guys will know that. But I could say the same about Waterford. They're after coming off beating Kilkenny, and there's no greater buzz or inspiration than to beat Kilkenny, knowing what they've done over the last 30 years. So beating them is huge. So they're really on the up as well.
Moving to rugby, where Irish rugby legend Keith Wood says that the revelations by former England hooker Steve Thompson and others that they have early stage dementia is very serious for the sport. Thompson revealed this week that he can't remember playing at the 2003 World Cup. Wood says that the issues of player safety will have to be examined.
I think some of the reaction afterwards is alarmist, and maybe it should be alarmist, and maybe that is the appropriate response at this stage. And I do think a lot of changes have happened. I do think there's an awful lot more have to happen. And I do think you have to end up looking at this in a very different way. And so do you look at it entirely different from a kids or amateur system to a professional system? And should there be entirely different setups for it? Because it is quite literally frightening. And you can't kind of gloss over this in any way, shape or form.
Elsewhere, Gregor Townsend has signed a 2-year contract extension to remain in charge of the Scotland rugby team, while in soccer, Italian World Cup legend Paolo Rossi has died at the age of 64. Rossi won the Golden Boot and Golden Ball at the 1982 tournament in Spain. He scored 6 goals at that World Cup, including a hat-trick against Brazil and the opening goal in the final win over West Germany. He also won 2 Serie A titles and the European Cup at Juventus. While in the Europa League this evening, Dundalk welcome Arsenal to the Aviva Stadium for 5-6 kick-off. Tottenham have a home tie against Royal Antwerp, while Leicester play AEK Athens. and Rangers are away to Lecce Poznan, while Celtic's Mohamed El Nussi is pleased the board have given their support to manager Neil Lennon once again. The club hierarchy have stepped in to offer reassurance over Lennon's future, despite the Scottish Premiership champions struggling domestically and going out of the Europa League. Speaking ahead of tonight's final group game with Lille, El Nussi believes that they'll be back and on track soon enough.
The margins is not in our favour at the moment, but I'm sure we're going to turn things around, and I'm confident that this team and the Gaffa and the coaching staff is the right person to do it.
While in boxing, Anthony Joshua insists that he's not letting talk of unification bout with Tyson Fury distract him ahead of this weekend's World Heavyweight Boxing title fight with Kubrat Pulev. His promoter Eddie Aherne is confident that Joshua will face Fury next year if he successfully defends his belts at Wembley Arena on Saturday. But Joshua has told Sky Sports News that he's not looking beyond his next opponent because it could prove costly.
I want to be respectful and answer every question someone throws at me, but I've got to sometimes pull myself back and realise what is important, and what's important at the minute is Pulev. It's a banana skin fight, man.
While in horse racing, there's a 7-race card over jumps at Tramore today, and the first one went to post at 12:30. Sports news on WLR is thanks to Virgin Media Waterford. WLR asks you to double your efforts to reduce the spread of COVID-19 in Waterford.